And I think we have Andrew Coy that's going to be also signing in. Is that right, Christian?
Yes.
Thank you. Happy New Year, everybody.
Same to you, sir.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And also feel free to let this committee know anything that we should consider that may not be on the agenda. Should be a relatively short meeting. Hey, Angie.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioner Coy.
Yeah, good morning. I saw the note that you'll be leading the meeting today, Commissioner Reed.
Yeah, God bless everybody.
Yeah.
And let's start. I guess first item on the agenda is the technology update from the technology group. And I think we have Chief Thomas and Mr. How you doing, sir? How you doing, Mr.
Elvis Tia. I'm doing good, sir.
Okay. And also tell us what your roles are, so we can, so we won't screw it up going forward. I know what that Doherty guy does. I know what Doherty guys does, but the rest of you guys, please let me know what you do.
Okay, so we're going to go through and introduce ourselves, starting with me. Chief Tommy he's going to be joining shortly. He's just running down from I think a cabinet meeting.
Okay.
So I'm Elvis Tia, Executive Director for Cybersecurity and Infrastructure.
Okay.
And my colleague.
And good morning. My name is Alan Russell, the Director of IT Technical Services and Customer Experience.
Thank you.
So I'm going to go ahead and share the screen now to begin our presentation. Is that
Please.
okay?
Thank you. Please.
Okay, so this is the Office of Information Technology, January 17, 2023. We're going to be giving you just an update on where we stand so far with our technology footprint, the services we have successfully completed, as well as services that we're working on. I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Mr. Alan Russell, who's the Director for Customer Experience, to kick off.
Okay, and I guess another question is, should we wait to the end to ask questions, or do you mind interjecting? Because a lot of times you guys answer the questions with the next slide, so it's your call, though.
I think anyway will be fine.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Yeah, this is Chief Jones. I apologize for being 30 seconds late here. As Elvis said, either way is fine. It works for you. It is, I'm like you, Commissioner Reed, often at the end we've already answered it. So if possible, I'd rather hold it, but it really works however it works for you.
Okay, we'll hold off until the end, and because a lot of times you already answer my questions in the slides. Thank you.
Well, good morning again, commissioners. As you would see, as we present our update, it will be aligned with the strategic board priorities 3, 5, and 7. Next slide. And our objective is, of course, as you can see, is to present an update to the board of our technology initiatives, and including enable distant learning, remote work, technology support, and cybersecurity. Again, it's align our OIT strategic goals, align with the city schools missions, literacy, including quality instruction, as well as wholeness, managing systems efficiently, and leadership, sustaining a culture of excellence. OIT's vision is to be that leader and trusted advisor. as well as our mission is to be customer oriented, have mindset, and partner with the officers, families, and students of our community with the use of technology and innovation of thought, re-imaging the educational landscape. In our presentation today, you will see the 5 critical areas of technology that we support: in-person learning, site support and service support desk, network bandwidth, training, guidance, and SOPs, application development, and device availability, all supporting in-person
No,
and
that's all right. I'm
VLP instructions.
She normally does the overrides now. Do you want to do, or should I ask her?
Somebody, excuse me,
Somebody-
somebody has their mic on as they're
Turn your
talking.
mic off, please. If you're not speaking, turn your mic off.
Thank you, Commissioner Reed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Technology accomplishments, reducing the digital divide. We have purchased 90,000 student teachers devices and distributed to both schools and students. With our connectivity, we have purchased more than 15,000 hotspots, allowing families and students to connect. As you can see with the number of devices, there are over 90,000 devices and hotspots of 15,000. We have seen an increase in our support requirements, such as in laptop services, walk-ups. I'd like to turn your attention to 22-23. We're just now 5 months in, and we have a total of 5,376 walk-ups compared to in 21-22 for the whole year, it was 11,965 walk-ups. And this is where families and students come in to have their laptops repaired or exchanged if they're lost or stolen. So we're 5 months in, 22-23, and we're projecting right now by the end of the year we'll have 15,000 plus visitor walk-ins. That's a 25% increase over 21 and 22. Elvis?
Thank you, Alan. So in addition to what my colleague has just spoken about, we have also worked with our learning management platforms and our business applications. So a quick overview will be the attention we put into making sure our VLP solutions are in effect and deliver what is anticipated of our solutions. We do have, we've completed a lot of work. Our learning management system now, we are using Schoology to for our VLP programs. And we've integrated a lot of tools to work with Schoology. Over 20 plus tools we've integrated to work with Schoology. We've also worked with business applications like the COVID-19 dashboard that the district uses right now to keep track of COVID individuals that have COVID. We've also integrated the Immunet Quiz solution which gives the administration their access to automatically, see what's the report when it comes to our COVID vaccination data. We've also been able to seek leave and save mandate to support temp for school workers. We've implemented our time entry for our para substitutes, as well as modernization of our new ERP system, which we're going to talk about that a little bit because we've already did a full presentation on December 13th. So, but it's so important, we're just going to glance through it so that you see, how much work we've put in. So this is the administrative modernization program, which is our ERP for short, as we call it. We've been working in the past year very diligently to achieve a lot, especially when it comes to stakeholder engagement. We've done about 4 different sessions, and we burned about 4,100 person hours, and we intend to do more this year, which will estimate about 2,000 more hours to make sure that every stakeholder has an input, because we want the solution to deliver to be very effective so that everyone can benefit from what is going to be presented once the application is complete. We've also done, right now we're focusing on the finance and human capital sections to make sure those modules are completed first. So this is just a quick timeline overview. Last year we did phase 1, our Oracle financials, our budget for phase 2. We also completed the selection of our learning management system, which is the LMS, as well as our performance management selection. So in this 2023 year, we're going to be focused more on the implementation aspect of what we've selected in 2022. So more information is provided in our this past December presentation. We had a presentation focused fully on the ERP. So this is just a high-level timeline again of the things we completed in the past fiscal year. You can go through it when you have the time, or if you have any questions pertaining to that, we're here to answer that. And then this is a big one, the dark fiber implementation. So this is something we've been working on over the years. We finally completed the dark fiber implementation, which is we've increased the internet throughput tenfold to all of our schools now. We have connections going to each of our schools 10 times what it used to be. And there are a lot of advantages to that. The first thing is we've reduced our downtime by a whole lot, because now we don't have to call on a third party, like maybe say we used to have Verizon or Comcast that we call on, and then they're going to have to give us an estimated time before they can resolve the issue. But now we can take care of the issues as quickly as possible because we have full control of our infrastructure. So this is a big added, big plus to what we have in the schools. And one important piece is, take for instance, websites that used to load in 10 seconds now will load in 1 second because of the speed that we now have on within our infrastructure. From a savings perspective, we were able to reduce our cost by from 2.8 million to 1.6 million, which is a 43% reduction. So a quick summary will be, we reduced the cost of the internet service we were receiving, at the same time increase the speed of the network. We are also upgrading the backend infrastructure in the schools. So we call that the local area network. We have increased our wireless access points. They were covering locations in the schools, but now we have created a more wireless intensive environment where there's wireless present in every location within the school. The project is almost at its end. We got about 6% more to complete, but we've increased our number of access points from 6,000 to over 10,000 roughly, having anticipated the number of mobile devices that students were bringing in after COVID. So we had our infrastructure in place to accommodate those devices. We also had to upgrade the back-end devices that the back-end devices that the wireless access points connect to, which are referred to as the switches. So we are upgrading the switches as well. We have about 5 schools remaining. Technically, we do have 4 schools remaining now because we've completed another school last Friday. So within a very short period of time, we will have completed this implementation as well. We also do have a major initiative at headquarters. Headquarters switches have been in production for, on average, the minimum will be about 5 years. It's between 5 and 15 years. So our infrastructure is really obsolete. Thanks to the CEO's office, we now have the funds to upgrade our infrastructure within the headquarters building. So this is something that our team is working on. Within the next couple of years, I would say maybe before we get to, within 24 months, we will have this headquarters building fully upgraded. And that includes our satellite buildings as well as PDC, because it's an extended training center for our staff. I'm talking about a professional development center on East North Parkway. From a security perspective, cybersecurity has been a huge task for our team because we've been attacked regularly. There are many times that City School has been targeted, but we were able to fend off the attack because of the additional layer of security. We work closely with Homeland Security and other external partners to make sure that our infrastructure is secure. And we get recommendations from Homeland Security a lot with respect to what we need to do to make sure we are secure. If you look to the right hand of the screen, you see there's a little 24-hour snapshot of the kind of attacks we get. For instance, within 24 hours, we get 2.5 million attacks from spyware alone. You got reconnaissance, making an attempt to see what we have within our infrastructure. You have infiltration attempt, which is about 198,000 attempts within 24 hours. Then we have 10.6 million suspicious activity. So this is something that happens within 24 hours. So that's why our security team is very, very busy 24/7, even whether it's vacation, non-vacation, school closes, the team is working hard just to make sure we are secure.
And just to interject here for 2 seconds,
Yes, sir.
we apologize for the fact that we do not talk a lot about cybersecurity, because we have found throughout the industry, the second you put something in writing, hackers go after you. We were in a discussion with some other school leaders the other day, and one of the schools published some statistics, and the next day they were being bombarded with malicious attacks trying to penetrate it. So we have worked, as Elvis said, very hard with the Department of Homeland Security to build up defenses, not just at our walls. We try to build defenses 3, 4, 5 layers out into the internet. We try to have actual service providers. We don't try, we do. We have service providers stop attacks before they get to us. So we have added 2 more layers of that type of protection this year, where all of you probably remember the massive denial of service attack where we were slowing down the network really bad. We added 2 more tools out in the cloud to catch that attack before it got to us. This is a never-ending war with the hackers out here. Every time we try to get a little further ahead, they find something new. But we wanted to at least give you the sample of just the sheer volume. That's a daily basis, 2.5 million spyware, 10 million malicious activity. It's just nonstop. So, but so far, I don't want to say we have a great system. I want to say so far we have been working really hard with Homeland Security to try to keep ahead of the game as best we can. So I'll say that. Go ahead on, Elvis. Keep going.
Thank you, sir. And this is just a 2023 technology footprint. This is what we have now in terms of what schools have in their possession, as well as our headquarters and other administrative buildings. You can see that since COVID, we've grown tremendously, and that poses a lot of challenges on the team that is doing the work. When it comes to human resource, we have, if you look at all of the things we have, for instance, email, our email utilization increased from 15 million to 40 million. Access point up to 10,000, AV equipment up to 9,000, because we have VLP programs and we have to be ready to work remotely if the district requires us to do that. So there are a lot of things we put in place with the 21st century schools coming up. We used to have about 2,500 voice over IP phones. Now we have 7,500, because almost every classroom has to have a voice over IP phone to make sure the teacher has the ability to contact who he or she needs to contact in case of emergency or any academic reason. So there are a lot of things. If you look at our service desk, our ticket size was about 100,000. Now we've grown up to 130,000 service requests annually. So this is just to show you how much more work we do now compared to 3 years ago. So at least hopefully this will let you know the challenges we have and the amount of work we do to cover this footprint. One thing I will say here is that our team is doing the best we can, but we are not growing as proportional to the amount of influx of devices that are coming into our infrastructure. And this doesn't include BYO devices, right? Those are devices that people bring in themselves and they have access to our guest network. So this is just what City School owns. So again, this is just to add to what I just showed you, learning and maintaining the codes. we do our best to provide a lot of solutions. We have a lot of challenges when it comes to repairing devices, and that also should require us being able to ask for funds to be able to reduce the amount of devices that have to be that will not be working, right? Because we have to replace devices, right? We have to look into our regular refresh cycle. We will be asking, we will need about 10 million per year to do a refresh cycle to make sure all of the devices that are used by our staff and students are working, especially nowadays where we have students taking the devices home. They are taking the devices home. That means the probability of devices getting broken, stolen is greater than what it used to be. In addition to that, devices get obsolete. Therefore, we have to refresh them. So there are a lot of challenges within our domain that we have to take care of. So this is just to let you know and give you an insight of what we're going to be asking for to make sure that our fleet runs without any error, especially for the students to have access to the technology solutions they need. Comments and questions?
Yeah, first I'd like to mention to the group that we have Commissioner-elect Ashley Esposito on. Ashley, feel free to, if you have any specific questions or unique questions, you may want to funnel those to Christian or Chantel, or you can just wait for the public comment, but feel free to send those in to those guys, because I'm sure you have some questions, and maybe some of those questions will be answered when Andy and I go through the dynamic. Andy, Corey, you have any questions?
Yes, always and forever. And first, I'll just start by saying, thank you for all of the work. I mean, obviously, as you highlighted, what you have done and are doing as a sort of comparison to pre-COVID are just orders of magnitude larger, right? And the complexities and the number of devices and all of those things. And I recall back to, or I'll bring your attention back to September. I think there was an item on procurement for a number of devices to be purchased, and I asked a couple of questions then, and was pointed towards this meeting here as a good place to talk more about them. But the three questions that I had asked back in September relating to technology and specifically COVID and COVID response was, what did we do, what did we learn, and what are we projecting? I think you've answered the first question of what did we do here in what you've outlined, and it's a lot, right? And the number of different things. The two areas though that I would want to see a little bit more, and I would love to continue for this, at one of the upcoming board meetings, is to talk about what are we projecting. You do a little bit of that here towards the end of the slide deck, right? You're sort of kind of talking about some of the challenges. And the other one that I'm curious if you have just reflections in this conversation here now is, what did we learn? Like, if we were to say, these are the three things that we learned, or the four things that we learned, and they could be things that, the school system is not or should not be responsible for. They could be things that we feel like the school system is particularly well positioned to respond to, but what are the learnings that you would pull out, as a reflection in this moment? That's my first, I guess, actual question, but a little bit of the preface of the, just gratitude for the work that you all are doing.
Would you like me to answer that one? That one's a fairly easy one. We learned a lot, but the major things that we learned here is that we have not only a device problem, we have a management of devices and a cultural problem. The management of devices mean trying to keep track of these devices and all of the kids who have them and how they transfer from school to school, and which ones are being claimed to be lost or stolen, but they are or they aren't, has massive. We have a small staff at OIT, and we started off when the pandemic hit trying to distribute and manage those. That quickly became, we cannot do it. We then switched it to a model where the schools were doing the actual distribution and management. And we found out that didn't work because record keeping was not a priority to the schools. I'm not saying anything negative towards them. They were scrambling to get kids educated and set up virtual learning and so forth. And record keeping became horrendous. And we've now had to roll it all back in. And there was a note, there was one line that said we move back to central management of devices, because if we don't centrally manage the devices, chaos ensues. But with that central management, a very important lesson has come out that we're currently in the process of negotiating with schools, and that is we are not in the school building talking to these students. We just don't have enough staff to do that. So we are now working through a partnership with the ILEDs and the schools to actually do part of the management and distribution, but all record keeping comes back. So without question, we learned that neither one of these two groups could do it. We had to do it. We had to do it as a collective, and that's where we are today. The second really important lesson we learned is culturally, our students are not accustomed. They think of these as free things. They think of, oh, you're giving me a computer. And the lesson of, no, I'm not giving you a computer. I am loaning you a tool to help you through your educational process until you leave. And I wish I could say we've done a great job at it. We haven't. I can tell you we are going to do a better job this year because we've really pulled in the ILEDs, the principals to do that. Because, for example, principals will come to us and say, how many devices do I give a student before I say, I'm not giving you one? And that's a really tough question because a lot of our students, if they genuinely broke the device, they can't afford to replace it. So that is a cultural issue, educational issue that we are still working through right now. And without question, those are the two biggest lessons that we learn. We have to culturally get our students to understand we're loaning, not giving, loaning you a tool that will help you with your educational experience. And we have to get the management of the devices. We can't do it all centrally and we can't do it all distributed. So that combined process is what helps to work. So that to me is the two biggest lessons that we have learned through this massive distribution.
No, I appreciate that insight and sharing that. I'm curious what you would say about what you have learned as it relates to city schools' role in the larger ecosystem. What have you learned about how city schools could and should interact with, for example, the Office of Statewide Broadband or with the City of Baltimore and some of the broader, like if you were to paint a picture of what is the ideal way to collaborate, and I'll sort of give a specific opportunity, well, two specific opportunities. So in December of 2022, the what used to be the Mayor's Office of Broadband Digital Equity, now BCIT's over it, made a request to the Office of Statewide Broadband for devices. So Office of Statewide Broadband had 145,000 devices that they purchased for distribution to municipalities. Baltimore City requested 30,000 of those devices. As I see the number of devices that you've highlighted have been purchased and the needs, I can only imagine that we have learned a lot about what families need that even go beyond the specific student needs in that household. And I wonder if there's some role or way that city schools could help in getting families devices from the Office of Statewide Broadband. And so in this way, we're not trying to manage or control but we are just saying we have learned where the needs are and we can help in a distribution way, especially if we are distributing devices that then do belong to the households and that we don't need to manage. Like we're not trying to build our own sort of backlog of work, right? Like, but that's one way to sort of think about like the role in the relationship. And the last sort of half to this question is, the Office of Statewide Broadband is tasked federally with creating a digital equity state plan. That plan is due beginning, or it starts to be due kind of in the May of 2023 timeframe, so later this year. the Office of Statewide Broadband is mandated to interface and collect input from the community. And I think City Schools has a lot to share and to learn and to sort of shape, and especially with the new governor-elect soon tomorrow to be governor more, I think that there's a great opportunity for City Schools to make the case for what we have learned and what we want to see in a partnership with the office. And I know they've given, the Office of Statewide Broadband has given support over COVID, and they help support, purchase of the hotspots and some of those things. But this is all why I'm asking what did we learn and what are we projecting? Because I think that can help us sort of see how the total needs that our families have can be met, and to place City Schools and the tremendous work that you all are doing in the right context of that, so that the solution isn't that you all do everything, right? That is not the solution.
Yeah.
But that's the dialogue that I'm interested in. So thanks for I guess engaging in this question here.
Yeah, so let me answer this question. Be fairly quick. The answer is not really a quick answer. It's a much bigger one, but let me sort of address. We have been meeting with, so I actually took this job because I want to really address digital equity in our community. It's my dream. It's my 5-year strategy. So what you're talking about is exactly what we're trying to do. We had to get our hands around the devices, know where they are. We had to begin the education about, just because something is put in your hands, it's not something you can just break and throw away and get another one. But we have been actually meeting with the group that you're referencing now out of Baltimore City Information Technology Group. I forget the lady's name that's running it, but we've been meeting with them.
Easily.
Yeah, we've been meeting with them, and we plan to meet with them more, because there's a lot of lessons we learned about the device handling and stuff like that. So we are with you, because that is a strategic goal of our group. It's just we had to first get our own act together first. When I walked in the door, we had devices everywhere. We had to try to find them. I mean, we just had a lot of cleanup. And I'm just going to admit it right up front. There was a lot of cleanup to do after the rush to get it out. So I'm very proud of my team that they got the devices out. I'm now proud that we're getting a handle around where everyone is. And, this summer, I'll be proud that we'll be working with the broadband group to do exactly what you said, to put a device in their home, have them understand what it is. And we also been talking to Pratt Libraries, how we could have our students be digital navigators to teach classes to families. Because this doesn't matter if we just put a machine in our students' hands that's not worth but 3 cents. If we can put it in their hands, they understand how to use it, and mom and dad understand how to use it, and the coalition that you just referenced can give mom and dad a computer, now we have a win. So believe me, we wholeheartedly agree with you, and we're working towards that.
Well, and I really appreciate your reference of the digital navigators, and especially students as digital navigators.
Mm-hmm.
I also think about something that Governor-elect Moore talked a lot about on the campaign trail, which was a year of service and the gap year. And I can almost see this sort of pathway of opportunity where a YouthWorks youth, for example, in their senior year is becoming a digital navigator, learning that, getting paid to do so. They're already being digital navigators in their communities, just without the training, support, and additional, resources, because they're being asked by parents and grandparents and uncles and aunts to help me fix this or figure this out. But how do we give them additional supports and training? Because there is a whole nother level, of ticket response and items that you all, obviously, with 130 tickets being resolved, have an expertise. And, but how do we train, support, and pay young people and provide a pathway into these high growth tech sector related jobs that we have the need for, both within City Schools, locally within Baltimore City, and across the country. So, I really appreciate the work that you're doing, and hearing you talk about how it aligns so much with your personal purpose and passion. And so the next question that I would ask on this, and Commissioner Reed, thank you for letting me just keep asking questions here on this point, is, as the school board, how can we support you in that? What role can we play, and in being alongside in advancing digital equity for Baltimore City young people, for our students and their families? What role can we play in that?
Andrew, can we have just this gives Chief a chance to think about it. Can we have him send something to our committee on that one? Because he may want to talk to his team, and it may be more encompassing and a bigger picture thing than we think it is and he thinks it is right now. Is that
And
fair?
I was even gonna say, out of respect for time, could I do
Right.
exactly what you just said? So.
Right. And I guess my questions have to deal with, Chris can tell you, it's going to probably deal with finance more than anything. But one
Mhm.
thing I want you to reinforce with our board when you present to them, you
Okay.
guys talked about the 90,000 devices, which is really big. We got 77,000 kids, 90,000 devices. The walk-ups, how you're going from 12,000 to 15,000. The third thing is how it's going from 10, it's increasing 10 times in terms of speed. And the other thing, it's you probably good for this committee. We're talking about $10 million more for just devices.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, you mean,
The
well,
$10 million.
so-
That's for more per year for devices, right?
Yeah, so I'm gonna do this in 30 seconds and I can do a better written response.
Okay.
But I'm respect for time. Yes, because what we did during the pandemic, we bought anything that we could get,
Right.
a lot of which was refurbished devices. We're also working with teaching and learning, trying to figure out what is the technology requirement of the software that they plan to use. So and we've had breakage, of course, I think it's around 7% or something. We are trying to get ahead of the curve. Right now, our students, we have enough devices out there for our students, but are they the appropriate dice? We have like old Windows machines that we find we can't update, and now all of a sudden those are out of inventory. So it's that type of rolling, and we will do this forever. I mean, this is a every year refresh rate. We won't do all of them in 1 year. We'll do about a third or a quarter of them every year. So that's what you'll hear about, and I'll put it in. I'll do a written response.
And also, you guys may want to meet offline with the board
Okay.
because the board, I'm sure, may have backroom questions for you guys with the cyber.
Okay.
Cyber, I don't think you want to make that public.
Nope.
And I guess the thing about cyber is, I know it's cost us a lot more for insurance over the last 3 years. You may want to talk about the cost of insurance. I guess another thing is we can talk about this here, or we can talk about it. You and Chris probably know more than we could ever know. Is where the CARES money end and district money start in terms of the costs?
Yeah.
Because I think CARES goes away next year, I think. So when CARES goes away, you're going to have some needs from the standpoint of not so much big technology, but laptops and desktops and
Yep.
hotspots, that kind of thing.
Yes.
So I guess getting back to Andy's question, I guess I may have an overarching question aligned with his. Technological needs,
Mhm.
talent needs, and financial needs. What are your expectations for like the next year, the next 3 years?
Yep.
Because technology is exploding in terms of costs. And like that 10 million you talk about for the devices, that's just tip of the iceberg.
Yep.
So please let us know what we need to know. If anything you want to convey right now to this greater group, fine. But I think, as Andy pointed out earlier, there's some needs in terms of connectivity, but there's also some needs in terms of what's going to cost us.
Yeah. So we will do that written response to you. The one thing I will tell you right now is we do absolutely recognize that the CARES money, the grant funds, run out. We've actually been, I'm proud to say, very good stewards of the ESSER dollars that everybody can use by finding other funds, specifically the Emergency Connectivity Fund, for which we could buy devices and leave the ESSER funds for other needs within the school system. But we do recognize, and we've been talking to Dr. Sandelises about this very thing, is that technology is here forever, and now how do we keep the refresh rate going? So we will respond in writing, but yes, you're 100% on the money, Commissioner Reed. And we will brief the board a little more on cybersecurity. We've briefed the CEO, and she wanted to get the briefing to you, so she's already planning that.
Yeah, because that should be offline, and
Absolutely,
it's really sensitive. It's really sensitive.
absolutely.
Anything
We'd like
else?
that to be in-person one.
Anything else for this committee of the greater good?
Just our appreciation, you guys have supported us in this massive rollout, and I cannot tell you how much we appreciate it. We just wouldn't have got it done without the board, and that's not me kissing up to you. That's a simple fact of life. We had to run quickly, so thank you very much.
And I got that thing you guys sent me framed, and I'll show you once I get it framed.
All right.
Let's go.
right.
to procurement. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Procurement?
Thank you.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, Ms. Matthews. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Good.
Good morning, members of the Operations Committee. We have 5 items on the procurement agenda for consideration today. First is 11.01, Shield T3 Health. The Chief of Staff requests the board's approval to extend the contract term with Shield T3 Health through June 30th, 2024 to continue to provide COVID-19 screening testing. The board originally approved this contract on February 23rd, 2021, in the amount of $9.5 million, with a contract term of March 8th, 2021 through January 19th, 2022. A 1-year no-cost extension extended the contract through January 19th, 2023.
And I guess my question to you is, there's going to be no cost for us for the extension, correct?
Correct. This is just to extend the contract term, but the 9.5 million will remain as the contract capacity.
And I guess to let future Commissioner Esposito know that we probably have the gold standard in terms of the testing for the COVID, and this is what the program we're funding right now. Correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to 1601.
P&A Administrative Services, Inc. The Chief Human Capital Officer requests the board's approval of a contract with P&A Administrative Services, Inc. to provide medical and dependent care flexible spending accounts and consolidated omnibus budget reconciliation act programs for city schools employees and their eligible dependents. The estimated total amount of the contract is $335,676. The contract term is January 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2027.
And this is for potential retirees and retirees, correct? Did I see Cobra and FSA?
Yes,
Okay.
you do see Cobra, but Tondalea is a much better expert, and I believe she's on with us today.
I'm just trying to help my board understand what this is.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know Cobra is retirees,
And
Hi,
when
this is
somebody
family
is
of.
exiting, employment, they have the ability, like there's a time window when Cobra applies. But yeah, so there's somebody that came online.
yes, I'm sorry. This is Tondalea Johnson. I'm not sure if my camera is showing, but Cobra is we have to offer Cobra to any benefit eligible employee that separates from the district. So it
Okay.
doesn't mean just because they retired, even if you resign, if
Okay.
you were benefit eligible, we do have to offer those benefits to you.
Got you. Okay, separation. And FSA is for what?
Flexible spending accounts for medical and dependent care. So it allows employees to set aside money on a pre-tax basis to pay for either medical or dependent care expenses that they may have to pay for out of pocket.
Thank you very much. Okay.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Tondalea.
You're welcome.
1901.
Morrison Consulting, Access 411. The Chief of Schools Officer and the Chief Operating Officer request the board's approval to piggyback a contract with Morrison Consulting, DBA Access 411, to provide a comprehensive attendance administration and security system, which is CAS, and visitor access system. The contract term is January 25th, 2023 through September 30th, 2026. The annual amount of the contract is $694,018.
I may ask you guys to do this presentation to the board when we come to the board for two reasons. Because it's about attendance. It's like a check and balance for attendance, and also about visitor access. Because everybody's worried about safety now. And I think that visitor access part is really important. But I guess one thing stuck out for me is we have 180 schools. We have the visitor access system to 158. Some schools elected not to have it.
Commissioner Reed?
Yeah, Chris, how are you?
Good, sir. How are you?
Okay.
This is a potential, I don't know the exact numbers, but I think often it's the difference between the number of programs and the number of buildings. So there'll be maybe 158 buildings that need coverage or something. And within those buildings, some have 2, some have 3 programs, which are listed as schools. But I don't think it's, I think that's what's driving the perceived discrepancy.
So nobody's opted out.
To my knowledge, no one has opted out.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Sure.
Any questions on this, Andy? Because I see your eyes.
Well, I do have a question too, but I think I see Angela Alvarez coming off on camera and might have something to add as well.
Hi, Angela.
Sorry, I think some of that too could be differences for like charter and operator schools. They don't have to use the same companies that we use and have the capacity to procure outside us. So sorry, I just wanted to add a little bit more context to that.
Cool. Okay. So there's no slippage. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate everybody.
Some of my question actually has less to do with the exact procurement, and it talks about the capabilities of the system. And I guess my question is more of wanting to go look at our board policies that require, like what we require from visitors. So for example, it says it can require government issued IDs in order to receive an ID badge to enter the building. Just noting that I want to go look at what our policies are. What do we require from visitors? Because I certainly wouldn't want to have a barrier for a family member, to be able to come and visit or feel sort of, that they aren't welcome in that sort of way, while at the same time, obviously balancing need to know who is entering our buildings, right? So that's something that I just need to go and look at what our policies are, but flagging that as an item that I imagine other board members would have as well in looking at this for procurement.
Thank you. 1902.
Veritronics LLC, the chief of schools requests the board's approval of a contract with Veritronics LLC to provide VeriQuest classroom and teacher aids, goods, and services. The contract term is January 25th, 2023 through November 30th, 2024, with one-year renewal option. The total estimated amount of the contract for the base period is $400,000. The total estimated amount for the renewal option, if exercised, is $200,000 for a total overall estimated potential contract amount of $600,000.
Thank you. 1903.
Youth Ambassador Leadership Academy, the chief of schools requests the board's approval to increase the total contract amount with Youth Ambassador Leadership Academy from $297,000 to $593,000, an increase of $296,000, and extend the contract for 5 months through June 30th, 2023, to continue to provide re-engagement services to students at select middle and high schools. The estimated new total amount of the contract is $593,000, and the contract term began November 15, 2021, and will end June 30th, 2023.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I think some of my question on this last one is I really appreciate seeing this and reading a little bit about the work that is happening. In the evidence of effectiveness, it sort of references some different measures. And I guess what I'm not seeing in there is, and this is obviously procurement, but wanting to see how has that performance been, like celebrating some of the successes and lifting those up that are being referenced here. and maybe just thinking about the importance of this work, right? And I did have the opportunity, I know this is sort of separate from this, but to visit the re-engagement center, I guess a week ago, I went in and saw, and there's been some recent articles about that space and the build out and how students that are coming back into the system can go and get backpack or shoes or other things that have needs. And I just think that that's such an important piece of the work. And so to the extent that there's some metrics and things that we can talk about for the success of this as we are reviewing and approving, I would love to see some of that celebrated and highlighted. So thinking about getting that ready for the board meeting.
And is that ESSER funded originally? No?
No, it was general funds.
General? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we did get some like preliminary, so we looked at the early warning indicators for students that participated in that program. It's different than what's happening. It's in the same vein of what's happening in the re-engagement center, but it's, the re-engagement center is Roger Shaw's team doing. But one of the big things that they helped with was reducing number of suspensions in half from students that they were working with. We saw more modest improvements in course achievement and attendance. So this is a partnership we've done with Yala for selected schools. Our hope is next year they'll be able to be open to more schools by going through procurement's regular process that's coming up in January for next year.
Thank you, Ms. Alvarez. Thank you. Any questions about procurement? Thank you very much for the presentation. Thank you. I guess anything for public comment? Anything from the public?
We didn't have any advanced signups.
Okay, thank you, Christian. And I guess, Christian, the next meeting is that February 21? Is that the next meeting?
Yes, and the next agenda topics, I can read them, or if you like to read them.
Oh, please go, Christian. Thank you.
Okay, one moment. Let me just pull it up. The agenda items for the next meeting are the pipeline work update, and that is for principals, teachers, district office staff, and other staff. So the pipeline of leadership pipeline update.
Anything else for the greater good? I'd like to thank everybody for participating, and thanks for your presentations. And I'll see you, not the next board meeting, I'll see you at the next committee meeting. Thank you very much. Everybody have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Ms. Esposito, for signing in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.